All right. Well, Alex, it's been a good year for films,
Absolutely, I think so.
and thought we'd get together and talk about our most memorable moments of 2009 in the world of film.
Sounds good.
So I'm going to go chronologically. It doesn't really matter. These aren't in best or any order like that. So early in the year, the International, Tom Tykwer directed Thriller, and I don't know how he did this scene, but he went to the Guggenheim in New York and blew the heck out of it with a subgun shootout. And the characters are walking up and down these spiral staircases, just blasting each other. And then there's a fabulous stuntman scene. I don't know how they did it, but the guy falls from several floors and just smashes into a railing or something. It looks like he's killed, but I mean the stuntman. So that was my first memorable.
Yeah, I just had a chance to see that the other day for the first time, and I have no idea how they did that. I mean, it looks exactly like the Guggenheim, so you got to think that they filmed it there. But it's just an amazing scene to watch. So, well, my first one is from 500 Days of Summer. It's the "You Make My Dreams" dance sequence, and it's right after the main character, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, has kind of not culminated, but reached the point where in his relationship where they've kind of, getting into bed. So he's celebrating the next day, and it's probably the most joyful moment of any movie I've seen this year. He just starts strutting down the street, and then Hall & Oates' "You Make My Dreams" starts to play, and so every person he passes gets infected by his joy, and so everybody starts smiling, and then everybody starts dancing, and so obviously it's a fantasy, but it's just the most, you get caught up in it so much, and it's probably the moment in the film where it's a make it or break it for you. If you're going to go with the movie, you're going to really like this scene, and if you're not, then you're kind of you don't like that scene at all. But it's probably, for me, it was the most joyful scene in the movie, and I love that.
Great. Well, next up on my list is Inglourious Basterds, a scene from Inglourious Basterds, and I happen to know you picked the same scene, but we didn't consult, so it's just the way it worked out. But the thing about that movie, there are so many memorable scenes in it, but I'm going, and I think you are too, with the first setup scene where Hans Landa, the evil Nazi colonel, is trying to ferret out resistance, and he goes to the French farmhouse of a suspect, and the guy has several daughters and everything, but he sits down with him, he drinks milk, and it's a very cordial setting, and it's just this slow tension builder, and you know that stuff is going to hit the fan before he gets out of there, but Tarantino just stretches it out and stretches it out, and I love that. It worked very well.
Yeah, no, he does a great job of building the tension in that, and that sets up Colonel Landa's character for the entire movie. So every time he comes back, you get that same kind of dread. And there's a similar scene in the middle of the movie with Shoshana, and he comes upon her. She's the head of running the theater that Nazis are gonna hold their movie premiere at, and so we know that he knows who she is, but he only kind of drops the little subtle clues, like giving her milk and stuff like that, and so that first scene sets up everything else in the movie, and it's just the perfect setup.
Yeah.
My next one was from Bruno. It's the movie as a whole didn't really hit the mark, but Borat was much more consistently funny. But there's this one scene where he interviews stage parents for his supposed photo shoot, and he just keeps putting out more and more outrageous things, like do your kids mind bees? Do your kids mind not wearing seatbelts and going in a fast car? And it ends up he's just getting more outrageous, and every time he says it, these parents go, "Yeah, we're fine with that." And so it's such an indictment of all these stage parents and what lengths they'll go to for fame, and so it's just very disturbing, but also very funny.
Yeah, cool. Well, next up on my list, Gentlemen Broncos. There's a scene in Gentlemen Broncos where one of the characters has a python over his shoulder, and all of a sudden the python just copiously poops this big ochre mess. And trust me, if you see the movie, you will never forget that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I really want to see that, but I'm sure it's a very memorable moment. So
That's it.
Mine is the next one is from a documentary called Every Little Step. It was a documentary that followed the 2006 revival of A Chorus Line. It followed the audition process for that musical, and all of these different actors are put on these great performances in their audition. But there's just one that stands out. It's a guy named Jason Tam, and he was auditioning for the role of Paul. And Paul is a gay man who recounts when his parents found out that he was gay for the first time, and it's just heartbreaking. I mean, the scene is heartbreaking in itself, but his delivery brings everybody in, the producers of the film, and then everybody in the audience. Just the reaction is just instantaneous and heartbreaking, and you can't help but cry at it. And it's an amazing scene.
Great. Well, next up for me is a little film called Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day. And there's a scene where Julie Benz is playing this FBI agent named Eunice Bloom. And she's projecting herself mentally into a crime scene. And when she does this, she fantasizes that she's wearing a cowboy hat and boots, and she has a Colt 45 and she's spinning it, and it's a slow motion scene with gunfire going back and forth around her, and she just looks extremely sexy, and the Colt 45 spins that she does are pretty amazing. She got some good training for that one. So that's
Does it have anything to do with that you like her from Dexter? Or?
Yes, it does. And that's interesting you mentioned that, because her character in this movie is so more upfront and type A than her character in Dexter. It's a great contrast to see her in that type of role.
Interesting. Okay. My next one is from I Love You Man. It's kind of cheating here a little bit because it's not one specific scene, but it's there's a sequence where he where Paul Rudd's character talks to Jason Segel's character, and he doesn't have any. Paul Rudd's character doesn't have any friends, and he's trying to get Jason Segel to be his friend, and he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to talk to him at all, and so he's just constantly bumbling. And so he says some things like he calls Jason Segel's character Jobin, which is just a nonsensical name. He changes totally to Totes McGoats. And he says goodbye to him, saying "Leeches on the Minjay," and none of it makes any sense. But his delivery, Paul Rudd's delivery, is just perfect and just so awkward that you can't help but to laugh every time he does it. So.
Great stream of consciousness.
Yeah,
very cool. All right. Well, my last pick for most memorable scene of the year, and I don't know how to put this other than to say in Antichrist, it's a little. Independent film, genital mutilation. And we're talking, we go from one scene where a guy gets a board to his crotch fiercely, and then we go to the next scene where the woman who delivers the crotch board blow takes a pair of scissors to herself, and oh my God, it's a cringe inducer, like several other scenes in that movie.
Self-inflicted torture porn, huh?
Yeah, you can say that, but it's artistic.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. As all independent films are.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have a missed moment of the year. This could have been a moment that really set the tone for everything to come in the Harry Potter series, but it was spoiler, if you don't want to hear anything that happens in Harry Potter, I don't know if you are at that point or not, but Dumbledore's death in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. In the book, it's played perfectly where Dumbledore uses a spell to bind Harry Potter so that he can't help him at all, and he ends up dying. In the movie, Harry Potter is not bound at all, and so he's just kind of watching this from a distance or from underneath, and you're going, why is he not helping him? It makes no sense in knowing the relationship that you have. And I just thought his inaction is confusing and maddening, and they just totally missed that moment, I thought.
Well, we wish you all happy holidays, and see you next time.
Thank you very much.